Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is TVP World. You're watching World News. I'm host Benjamin Lee, and these are the latest headlines. Now, we will be monitoring the situation in Serbia closely as protests continue there after a deadly roof collapse left 15 people dead. But for now, let's take a look at what else the past few hours has brought. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says that Canada will respond to U.S. trade sanctions with 25% tariffs on $107 billion worth of American goods. His statement came just hours after President Donald Trump imposed a 25% tariff on Canadian and Mexican imports and 10% on goods from China, a move economists warn could spark a trade war, slow global growth, and reignite inflation.
Like the American tariffs, our response will also be far-reaching and include everyday items such as American beer, wine, and bourbon, fruits and fruit juices, including orange juice, along with vegetables, perfume, clothing, and shoes. It'll include major consumer products like household appliances, furniture, and sports equipment, and materials like lumber and plastics, along with much, much more.
Mexico has also vowed to respond, though it has yet to announce specific targets or measures. Now, commenting on Trump's tariff policy, Polish diplomat Andrzej Biart said, quote, he has the right to say so, but he should enter into negotiations. Here's a fragment of TVP World's interview with Mr. Biart.
It was the case very many times also under the first term of Donald Trump. There have been 2 or 3 phases when Americans imposed a new, huge or higher import tariffs, but then Europeans say, okay, it's not the way to debate, to solve this problem. We have to sit down and see in what way we could respond to your, I understand, to your question, to your analysis, and find a kind of a compromise. That's the way normal democratic countries or governments should react.
Exactly. Well, let's hope before any tariffs are imposed on the European Union that the two sides do sit down and talk.
Hopefully they will do so.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has arrived in Panama for his first official foreign trip. He's expected to push President Donald Trump's priority of curbing illegal immigration and to reaffirm U.S. intentions to regain control of the Panama Canal, a move facing strong opposition from regional leaders. During his visit, Rubio will tour the canal and meet with Panamanian President José Raúl Mulino, who has made it clear that the canal's sovereignty will not be up for discussion. His trip will also include stops in El Salvador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and the Dominican Republic, where he will address migration and the Trump administration's efforts to repatriate migrants from the region. And now we turn to Serbia, specifically the city of Novi Sad, where tens of thousands of protesters have brought the city to a standstill. They're demonstrating against President Aleksandar Vučić and the current government. TVP World's Balkan correspondent Pavel Trzaskowski is on site with the latest.
I'm standing now in the middle of Sloboda Bridge in Novi Sad. This is the biggest bridge in the city, in the second largest city in Serbia. And as you can see around me and behind me, there are no cars passing through. And this is because this bridge, since the late afternoon hours of Saturday, is blocked. And it is blocked by tens of thousands of people that you can see behind me. And they are protesting because 3 months ago in this city of Novi Sad, a tragedy happened. A part of a roof of a railway station collapsed, tragically killing 15 people. And people took to the streets. They have been taking to the streets for 3 months now to oppose the current government of Serbia and its President Aleksandar Vučić. And they protest because they believe Serbia has been captured by its current political class, political class that is incapable of healthy governing and incapable of bringing justice to the country.
Why we are protesting? Because, sir, we cannot live like this in Serbia. Our president, he's doing very bad stuff, and things in Serbia are very bad for the young people. And we are also proud for these students and for young people, for youth, that are fighting the bold fight for Serbia and for everybody on Balkan.
We are protesting because of the corruption-based 15 deaths of people here in Novi Sad. we are also protesting because many of us here are still scared for what's going to happen next.
Something fell on 15 people and take their lives, and no one do anything about that. So we need to be here and do something about that. You know, kids needs to fight for our and everyone's life here.
In the crowd, we saw lots of people carrying Serbian flags, carrying anti-Vučić banners, and most prominently wearing a symbol of a red hand that is becoming a symbol of state capture, of Vučić wield on the country, and the protesters want this wield to lessen, and this is why they demand those who are responsible for the Novi Sad tragedy to be held accountable. They demand a reinstatement of the rule of law in Serbia and possibly the new general elections. From Novi Sad, Serbia, for TVP World, I'm Paweł Trzaskowski.
Ukraine is calling for increased pressure on Moscow, while U.S. President Donald Trump has announced upcoming talks with Vladimir Putin. Trump said on Friday that the two leaders, quote, may do something significant. And meanwhile, his special envoy to Ukraine says that Washington wants to increase pressure not only on Moscow, but also on Kyiv. Sonia Agatabishyan has more.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
It has been much more than 24 hours since U.S. President Donald Trump took office, and despite his previous pledges, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine remains unresolved. Trump has suggested that he is in talks with Putin, though he has neither confirmed nor denied whether the pair has already spoken.
Well, we'll be speaking. We'll be speaking, and I think we'll perhaps do something that'll be significant. We want to end that war. That war would have never started if I was president.
While Trump did not indicate what exactly these significant developments would entail, he told Russia to stop this, quote, ridiculous war on Truth Social last month.
If we don't make a deal, and soon, I have no other choice but to put high levels of taxes, tariffs and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States and various other participating countries.
But it may take more than financial scare tactics for Putin to stop his war.
Putin is fighting a war here for his place in history. He's fighting a war to re-establish the Russian Empire. He's not going to be constrained by a drop in GDP.
Trump's special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, retired General Keith Kellogg, has indicated that a realistic timeline towards peace in Ukraine could take months, but probably not years.
President Trump knows where to apply pressure, where not to apply pressure. But more importantly, he knows that he will create leverage with both the Ukrainians and the Russians.
He is, however, not the only one that has put faith in Trump's negotiation skills. Even the Ukrainian president previously suggested that he is hoping for his U.S. counterpart's support in bringing an end to the war.
Trump може бути вирішальним.
Trump can be decisive. For us, this is the most important thing. His qualities are indeed there. He can be decisive in this war.
To date, Putin has indicated his willingness to negotiate an end to the war, but insists that Ukraine would have to acknowledge Russia's territorial gains. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has labeled the idea that Ukraine could fully restore its pre-war territory as misleading. He has echoed Kellogg's view that both sides would need to give something up in any negotiations.
That dishonesty lies in the fact that we somehow led people to believe that Ukraine could not only defeat Russia, but also destroy it, pushing them back to what the world looked in 2012 or 2014, before the Russians seized Crimea and other territories.
Zelensky has previously said that he would be open to Ukraine temporarily ceding territory to Russia to end the war.
From the Ukrainian side, it's not about territory anymore. This is all about security.
In January, the new American administration suspended foreign aid pending a review which would ensure alignment with its policy, which is likely to affect aspects of the Ukrainian state's operations.
The fact that we're not consistent in providing what Ukraine needs reflects the fact that we don't actually have a clear strategic objective ourselves. If we had a clear strategic objective that we wanted Ukraine to win or to be successful somehow, then we would have the right policies. There would be no disruption, even with a change of administrations.
Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, and it currently occupies about 1/5 of the country. For TVP World, Sonia Agatabishyan.
Thousands of people have protested in Valencia, Spain, showing their deep dissatisfaction with how the authority handled the deadly floods in October. Demonstrators believe that the region was not sufficiently prepared for the disaster and that the response was inadequate.
Drums, chants, and traditional Valencian human pyramid performances. The number one demand of the protesters is that the president of the Valencian government, Carlos Mazón, resigns.
Let Mr. Mazón know that we are neither far right nor far left, but ordinary people from Valencia. We are against everything he has done.
Well, obviously he should resign because of the appalling management he showed during the storm.
Valencia was the worst affected Spanish community in the 2024 flood. People have been protesting regularly, calling for the authorities to be held accountable, especially the president of the community, whom many of the protesters accuse of negligence.
It's a shame that he hasn't resigned yet, and if he won't leave, we will kick him out.
The October flood caused by heavy torrential rains has claimed the lives of 232 people. 3 are still missing. The disaster has caused property damage estimated at more than 10 billion euros.
North Queensland in Australia is currently facing devastating floods. 1 person has died as authorities urge to evacuate.
Whole neighborhoods in Queensland are underwater, and the situation is expected to get worse. 24-hour rainfall totals are expected to reach up to 300 millimeters in some areas, with more rain forecasted in the coming days. 1 person has died when a state emergency service vessel capsized during rescue operations.
There were 6 people on board the vessel. 5 people were recovered safely, but sadly 1 person was deceased. We understand the deceased member is not a member of the SES, but is a member of the public.
The flooding was sparked by a low-pressure system laden with tropical moisture, resulting in torrential rains. Authorities have urged thousands of residents in the affected areas to move to higher ground as the situation continues to unfold.
I'm asking Queenslanders to do all they can to make sure that you stay safe, and that means listening to warnings, responding as quickly as you can, helping out friends and family, and I'm very confident we'll get through this.
The disaster follows a series of severe weather events, including the once-in-a-century floods that impacted the Northern Territory in 2023, part of a multi-year La Niña weather pattern.
And with that, we conclude this edition of World News. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.